Demonstrators have gathered outside the State Department in Washington, D.C. to call for a ceasefire in Israel and Gaza. The demonstration, organized in part by the group Communist Party USA, held signs, chanted, and urged the federal government to demand a ceasefire. The protest comes after the White House announced that Israel agreed to daily 4-hour humanitarian pauses in the fighting in northern Gaza. While the White House says this is a positive step and will allow much-needed assistance to get into the area, the protesters held signs labeling the fighting in Gaza as genocide.
What we want is total freedom and a freedom cry.
Joining us live to discuss further developments on the war is global affairs analyst Kunle Falowo. Thank you for joining us on The World Now. The UN chief has described what's going on as never-ending humanitarian nightmare, and the U.S. is optimistic of this 4-hour pauses daily for humanitarian aid. But then Israel says, this is humanitarian pause, it's no ceasefire. What do you make of this development?
Thanks for having me. This is definitely a step in the right direction. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been working tirelessly, talking to all the parties involved to find a way to mitigate this unending war and find a lasting solution to the crisis in that region. And the Israeli team and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has heeded the call of the Western allies, championed by the United States, to let peace and do the needful and the necessary by allowing humanitarian materials and humanitarian aid get across to the people of Gaza, and also give a space and time for civilians to, as quickly as possible, evacuate from those crisis zones and those war-prone areas, so they wouldn't have a lot of civilian casualties, which is unfortunately that what's been happening over there, as more civilians casualties are being recorded on a daily basis. So as it is, it's a step in the right direction, but that's not the end of it. What we are calling for is a total ceasefire. It's a total cessation to hostilities and cessation of war in that region.
And another hospital has been hit in the Gaza Strip. Just how worried are you about this? Because women and children are definitely the ones bearing the brunt of this war now.
And that is a sorry, unfortunate price that you have to pay in a wartime. People, harmless people, ordinary civilians will be the ones that are mostly affected. Imagine parents that are nursing mothers and aged people and little children, and every vulnerable population in that region is just suffering from this endless bloodshed that's happening in Gaza. Nonetheless, having that humanitarian period to allow that pause, to allow things to get into Gaza and have that help that they need is quite commendable. I would also say that electricity has been cut off. They don't have any running, functioning water. The camps that the people of Gaza reside in has been constantly and regularly bombarded by the Israeli military side. So a total cessation of war is what we're clamoring for. However, it's baby steps, and I believe that I'm optimistic that things will turn out for better.
There has been fear of escalation, of this war, because already it does appear the Middle East is, embroiled in this. How concerned, how worried are you about the possibility of this, and what can be done to mitigate it?
So it's very complicated, but as it is, we're seeing that the Middle Eastern and generally, particularly the Egyptian side and the Egyptian government are very, very invested in this war, and they've already alerted a lot of people and calmed the nerves of people of Palestine and people of Gaza generally, that they are with them in the war, and they are going to support them. And one interesting thing that I want to mention is Antony Blinken had a meeting with the Egyptian side to broker peace and look for a possibility of a total ceasefire. And currently it's ongoing, and we're hoping and we're optimistic that since we're having a continuous dialogue, and then we're starting to see, even if it's not a major cessation of hostilities, we're seeing some good steps. We're seeing positive steps that things will eventually turn out better. The people of Gaza are not alone. They're not left out. They're getting a lot of support in the Middle Eastern region, and people are interested in their plight, and they're willing to eventually have a lasting solution to the crisis over there, and that will be having an independent state for Gaza, and that's what we're working on generally for everyone that's involved.
Okay, but do you really see Israel agreeing to a ceasefire?
So it's an unending conversation that's gonna keep going, and there's also a political undertone to it. Everything is at stake. It's politics and it's world order, and it's happening. And then when we're having people come together and dialogue, that's the only way that we'll be able to find lasting solution. And it's good that we're seeing that. Now, what we don't want to see is not have them have a conversation about what's going on. So currently, things seems to be going in the right direction, so long that we keep the dialogue ongoing.
We'll look forward to that, because we need peace to be restored. Thank you very much. Kunle Falowo is a global affairs analyst. Thank you for talking to us on Well Now.
Thank you.